Hello guys, welcome back. We're about to cover the last two and probably the most difficult and complicated steps. Of course, they always say like the last things are always the harder things. So, now I have myself a drink in the form of sweet water. I'm actually currently uploading steps 5 through 8 right now. So by the time you see this video, steps 5 through 8 should already be up and should be good to go. Let me just get some music going. Actually, alright. So, where were we? We were working on steps 5 and 8. So, or not steps 5 through 8. We were working on step 9. Step 9 states that we need to create a separate query that returns a stock whose price on November 1st has the highest percent increase over the original price on January 2nd, 2013. Say this query has the most valuable stock. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a query using stock data again. And this is where we probably will just say this first and we'll call it most valuable stock. Okay. So what we'll need is obviously company name. Always a good place to start because we need to link it to other music. Okay. So highest percent increase. What does this mean? Well, by highest percent increase, we will probably talk about the percentage or the ratio thereof between the two price per shares. If you look back on the stock data table, you can see that companies that have a higher price per share in November compared to January have a value over 100,000, and those that actually dropped in value are below 100,000. So what does this mean? Well, that must mean that the highest percent increase over the original price being price per share on the first, will actually have the highest dollar value. So if we look at stocks that gain value, we look at here and we press run, we'll see that the highest dollar value is Safeway. So that means we can safely assume that the greatest percent increase between the two stocks is Safeway. Now we can actually calculate this pretty easily. We just go find Safeway. We take 35.16 and divide it by 17.95. We actually would get 1.95 decimal places, right? So it's basically you just, instead of multiplying it by 100%, you're multiplying it by 100,000. So these ratios are reflected in these dollar values. So in reality, all we have to do is just, take the dollar value, say descending, and we'll add these price per shares. They're kind of important. So if you look at step 9, it doesn't actually say what it wants to show. I'm gonna safely assume and say that you want to put all 4 of these because you used all 4 of these to pretty much determine which one was the highest, correct? So we're gonna run the current query. And look, Safeway has the highest dollar value and probably has the highest percent increase. So I'm pretty sure you took this decimal here, or this ratio here, small on this ratio here. So, but the problem is, it wants us to return the stock whose price has the highest percent increase. It didn't say to put it at the top of the list, so what are we going to do with all this? Well, you can't just delete it. I'm pressing delete right now. If you don't know that, I'm trying to press delete. It's not working. So what do we do? So we're going to go back to design view and just think to ourselves, what in the world can we do? Can we delete columns? I guess. No, that doesn't work. Why I used to do that? Okay. Actually, I would like to have these switched. That's just my personal preference. There we go. So we can actually click here, it says return. And how it says all, we can actually change this to a number. If we say 5 and we run the query, it actually returns the top 5. back to design view. We can actually change. So we can change this to 1, not 100, but just 1. Go here, press run, and ta-da! We have our only top percent person or company. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it, let's go back to all here, is when we run the query, we can actually go here. Great. We can actually go here and say equals, and we can just say that this value has to be equal to 195,877.44. Say okay. Maybe I just typed that in wrong. We'll just say greater than 195,000. Why is that not okay? Fine, pick up the filter. Oh, okay, I understand. So we actually can't use dollar value, or we can't use number filters because actually no. I'm gonna say that the number filter is greater than 1. Okay, so it just isn't working. There. So if we use the greater than and put in something so specific that it'll be the only one that shows up, you can actually get the same thing. So these are the two main ways that you could probably go about doing this. I'm sure there are more, but I'm going to go and use the return and say that's the best way. You can also go and be fancy, go to SQL and just select top 1. If you know what SQL is, more power to you. I don't really understand SQL too much, but that's step 9, and that is it. Before we start in step 10, just want to say, it's been a fun run with you guys, going through all these. It's a little past midnight, but I'm pretty sure by the time that these are up, you guys will be okay to do the assignment. Please, 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 feel free to ask any questions either through the group me or through the YouTube video itself, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. But I think, if I don't mind saying, I've done a pretty good job in explaining these things, albeit I'm pretty sure they are a bit wordy and I could probably go a bit faster, but I like taking my time. Please feel free to either leave some feedback or some questions. I'll be free to answer them. Just try not to do it too close to midnight because I'm pretty sure I'll take a bit of time to answer those questions. So, let's start step 10. It's actually a doozy. So it says here, create a people table with the fields person ID, last name, first name, and also create a person ticker table with 2 fields, person ID and ticker ID. Create a query that requires as input a person ID and which outputs the person's first name and last names along with the total dollar value of the companies for which he is on board, or she. They didn't really talk about that. So remember that other Excel sheet that we got? It was called like the massive spreadsheet or something. Go here. You'll notice there are actually 3 more that we never used. We're actually going to use that. So we have to import this all. We're just going to delete some stuff though because we don't need this. Gonna tick IDs. See, we don't need this. We want this text. Why? It makes things, remember, we're doing this because it makes things makes importing things 900,000 times easier. So we have to create a people table. Also create a person ticker table with 2 fields. Okay? So if you actually want to take a look, we actually don't need this, but if we wanted to be fancy, we could use this. But really the only 2 things that we need are these 2. So we're gonna go ahead and import this right now. External data, Excel, should know how to use this right now. Browse. Where's that stuff? And we go to last example, master spreadsheet. Alright, we're gonna say open. Okay. Let's see, what sheet do we need? We wanted this one. Okay. Say next. First row containing column headings. Badam. Yes, we'll want this field name. It's pretty important. Sure. Okay. We don't really need a primary key, so forget that. And we can say finish. And close that. Yeah, we have a board members thing. Let me just actually close things we don't need. Save everything. It's pretty important. It's actually, there's nothing here. Let me just. There's nothing there. Okay. Delete the field. You don't need it. Alright! That's also important too. If you don't need a field, delete it. It has no use to you. Just like people. I'm just kidding. Don't go around deleting people, because I'm pretty sure people will be kind of mad if you try to throw them in the recycling bin. So the next thing we need to do is we need to import the other important sheet, the MTOC relationship. It said it wanted the one with the person ID and the ticker ID, so this is the one. So we're going to import that to external data, Excel, bam, we're going to browse through there, master spreadsheet, hooray. Why has it always pulled it up? I don't know. Say open, okay. Go to this one, so next, we want the first row to be columns, and we have that. We don't need primary keys are for wusses. Finish, close. Ta-da, we have these 2 tables. So, we have to create a query that requires the person ID to be an input. What does that mean? No idea. I'm just kidding. So, it must seem pretty cool that we can actually have an input and have it output something else. So I want us to create a people table. Oh, we already did that. I'm sorry. We need to create a query that requires input the person ID, which we'll get to last. So we need to go to the query builder and say, what tables do we actually need? Oh my gosh, we actually need this one, and this one, and this one. This is why it's kind of sort of complicated. Why do I have 2 of these? Like that. It's kind of complicated. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we can notice that we can connect these things. So what we need to do is join these together. So the person ID obviously corresponds to the person ID in these two tables, and this TID responds with the ticker ID. So we can drag that, or we can do some fancy double clicking. Okay, so we can drag that, or we can, I think, right click and some other fancy, but dragging is easier, trust me. So now that we have that, we can. Sorry, oops, I didn't take them out. Look at this. So we go and run the query. Well, we can't actually run the query right now, can we? Of course not. Why can't we do that? We can't run the query. Why? We don't have anything down. So we're gonna put all the stuff we need down. We need the ID from these guys, and what it's saying we needed. Let me check the document. Not Skype. And we'll says we need the first names and last names. Important, important. It requires as input the person ID and the total dollar value of all their stuff. So dollar value, important. Okay, so we need to have the total dollar value of the companies for the Hichishi blah blah is on board. So we actually go here and we want the sum. Now it says group by. That means we need to group it with the value, or we want to group these by dollar value. And if they'll say group by, and you press run, well, it'll group with the dollar values that they correspond with. And see, some of these names actually have multiples. So you have Thomas Chance. Wow, he has 3 companies. And so is this guy over here, number 21. Right? So we're going to go back to the design view, and we need to actually say the sum. Because he says he wanted the sum of the dollar value, not each individual company. So if we run this again, we'll notice that, bam, these are actually all the sums. Go back to design view. And lastly, he said he wanted the person ID to be an input. Now, it may seem weird to be able to have an input on a database. It's actually a really cool feature. When I figured out how to do this, it was amazing. But since I'll probably never use it again, it's not as amazing as I thought it would. So, you need to have the person ID. So, person ID, and since it's a criteria of sorts, we'll use, remember when we use SQL and we had to do criteria, we'll use where. Not press enter this time. And then we actually can't show it because you can't show things that you have criteria for. So, see? Cannot display the field for which you are entering the where in total row. Basically it says you can't use where you can't have the input show up too. So that's why we have this here. It'll show the person ID that we have later. So we're going to go criteria. What is the criteria? The criteria will be basically equals to, we can do whatever we want here actually. We can say these inputs, input, or insert, or whatever word that you want to use for insert or input or enter or whatever. Bam, press enter. Run the query. This table pops up asking for a parameter value. The parameter is based on the field that we use, which is person ID, and the table board members. This is why it was important to link the relationship between these two and also the ticker IDs. Because once we put in a number between, I forget, I'll just put in 25, it'll run the query and give us the person ID that we had, the first name, the last name, and the sum of all his companies that she is related, or he is related to. I don't know. Tommy sounds like a guy's name to me. I don't know about you guys. So, we did it. Holy shit. Guys, we just totally did it. And if you guys are curious what SQL looks like, it looks like a mess. When you do relationships, it uses this function called inner join. I'm not going to explain it because I really can't, so that's for you guys. Anything like 2. Some of these don't really have many. Yeah, so 2 works. But if we actually look back, we go to design view, if we didn't actually add this relationship, so you can kind of see everything falls to hell afterwards. It's very important to make these relationships. So if we add 25, what happens? Well, look at this. It adds a lot of values, and the reason for this being is that it goes through and so it goes through the board members. Runs to 25 for no good bad reason, and says, let me just sum up everything here, which adds up to a pretty dang large number. So it's very important that we create these relationships. Oh, I'm sorry. Where'd my query go? Oh no, query, where'd you go? Oh, here it is, query. That we actually form these relationships. Now, thankfully for us, there actually is no step 11, because I'm pretty sure he wanted us to link the ticker IDs with these companies to show which companies that he or she is part of. But since the assignment never really asks us to do that, I personally don't care. And if you want to figure out how to use that, well, more power to you. So here we are. It doesn't really say how it wants the query saved. So you can save it however you want. I will save it as the step 10 query. You guys can do that. You can just put like swagalicious 1010. I don't, whatever the heck you guys want. It didn't really say anything, but if you want to make it related, I guess you can say, you know, the ID query. I guess that works. I'm gonna say let's say step 10 query. It's probably easy to understand. Is what query, right? Sure I did. Yes. Alright. So with any good students, we will actually go back and double check to make sure we did everything correctly. I assume you guys are all smart, and I'll let you guys do all of that on your own, so please feel free to look back at all the other videos and check out all the steps again. If you don't understand anything, watch the videos until your brain bleeds, then you can ask me. Please feel free to leave any more comments on the videos. And, well, I guess that's the end of assignment 4. It was a beautiful run. Make sure that you label these correctly with the correct people saw, blah 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 blah. Try to make sure that you guys don't like blatantly copy everything here. I showed you a few other ways of doing the work shown here. So if you could, please take the time to, you know, change up your numbers a bit. I'm pretty sure a few will be exactly the same, but it'd be nice if you guys would take the time to be a little different. Just a little bit. I don't know. You can rename this to whatever the hell you want so that I can see a lot of things in that. We don't need to upload the Excel sheets. Actually, let me just double check that all for you right now. Gotta put some sad music because we're done. Actually, it just seems more peaceful than sad, but that's okay. So we're going to the assignments page. You're going to go to some. I'm sorry. Let me just. Here's the assignment files, and it says type submission. Well, I'm just going to upload the access sheet and call that done, but I'll do that later. So if anything comes up when while doing this, I'll be sure to let you guys know. Thank you guys for watching. I'm pretty sure you're all also thankful that I made these videos too, but I don't want to be boastful. But to be honest though, it was fun recording, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it and didn't die of boredom to my very slow, unprovocative voice and very instrumental music that's probably really loud right now, but that's okay. So again, thanks for watching, and good night. I'm probably gonna head to sleep. Actually, no, I have a final to study for tomorrow. It's good night, guys.